I think the market is preparing to treat Ukraine and the problems there as another one of those geopolitical messes that's going to go onto the low boil, onto the back of the stove in a simmer setting until and unless there's more evidence of an increase, an escalation. So I think this is the beginning of that more positive view in the markets.
I think it was a little bit of a relief rally after the Crimea vote. Everybody knew that they were basically to pass the referendum. I think people went into the weekend maybe a little bit short, so we saw a little short covering. I think also the fact that the sanctions really aren't that onerous to begin with also led to the Russian market rally, as well as the China news. The yuan trading ban being expanded has helped that market. So I think some of those fears were taken off the table. Vietnam cut rates last night, another 50 basis points, so another central bank in the easing mode. We expect India to follow. And probably China in another few months will also cut rates.
The volatility is here and here to stay, in my opinion. The macro is still very challenging. There's a lot of uncertainties with Ukraine and Russia and China, certainly. But I do think that the U.S. data is getting better. Look at the industrial production numbers today. Look at the capital utilization numbers today. You look at the retail sales last week. Look at initial claims last week.
It's clearly an economy that has been held back for the last 3 or 4 months by weather, which had a real effect. If you live in Chicago, you know that. And so the actual numbers are pretty solid, but they're actually going to be significantly better when we return to a normal weather and we get 4%, which is not on a historical basis that strong. Typically, when you're in as bad a recession as we were in, you come out pretty strong. What's unusual is how slowly we've come out of this.
Well, it's sort of a three-ring circus right now. I mean, you have the legal proceedings, you have regulatory proceedings and investigation, and you also have the public relations issue. And there's so much of this, so many different things going on that this is going to be in the headlines for a while. Just over the weekend, we carried a story about some people who had driven these cars, and one poor young woman had been the driver in an accident that killed two young friends. And she blamed herself. She had no idea the car was defective until a couple of weeks ago when all this broke. She's been living with this anguished guilt. So more and more stories like this are going to come out. If GM basically says, look, we're a different legal entity now post-bankruptcy than we were pre-bankruptcy, and we're not going to do anything for customers on this from a legal standpoint, that's going to be a very bad mistake. I can't imagine the company will do that, honestly.